The world, even though he was a South African president.
I do think that Nelson Mandela had an impact over the whole world. I think one of the things when you look at it, you can. I think his story resonates with a lot of people in respects to being an overcome situation in which maybe you had no reason to forgive somebody, to move forward, to think about the bigger picture. I think a lot of times, just as individuals, we aren't able to do that. And what I really appreciate about the story, the genuineness of it, is that he was fighting, for the rights of his people and his country against a government that was oppressive, and it became frustrating for him. So it did escalate into a violent form of resistance. And I think sometimes we think that it's easy to be in a situation in which you're just doing nonviolent things. And there's been a lot of revolutions across the world in which have been violent. And I think for him to transition to that, I can see that, I can understand that, and I can empathize to why that would happen. And for him to be able to come full circle after his imprisonment and then move back to being nonviolent, to give up power in order to move forward. And I think a lot of people don't know that he could have been released a lot sooner, but he wanted to wait and wanted to be the right time for it to happen. So I think the story is genuine. I think it speaks to the just a human story, that we're all susceptible to things that maybe we can't deal with, but with the time and thinking about the big picture, those things could change.
How do you feel about Nelson Mandela?
President. He could have done any number of things. He could have taken it out on those who had oppressed him. He could have easily enacted laws that made it difficult for the former colonizers and the former people who had been in power before. He could have made it difficult for them to live in South Africa. And what he chose to do was to be the best that humanity can offer. And he forgave, even though I'm sure he was not terribly happy about that. He became a beacon of hope for everyone by bringing in the former oppressors even into his government and not striking back, and created a democracy that has lasted to this point, and in so doing proved that you don't have to be evil. You don't have to take it out on people that have wronged you. You can take the high road, and in taking the moral high ground like he did, prove to the rest of the world that you can do that, and in doing so, you have created a greater impact than any dictator could ever imagine, and someone who will be remembered positively to the end of days. I mean, really, this individual and his acts were so important and so influential, and should be a guide to all leaders. I mean, he stepped down after one term in office and just said, "Okay, I'm done. I've done it. I've set it up. You guys go with it." And that was also a huge act that needs to be followed by more world leaders.
I think the world is sad, and I think the world just lost probably a modern day civil rights icon. And so, I mean, personally, it's one of those things where you're sad to see him leave, but at the same token, I think if any of us could say, we live our life to the fullest, or wish we could have lived our life to the fullest and done all the things that we put on bucket lists, and all the things that we sometimes sit at home and wish we could do or would do. There's a man that I think has left this earth without any regrets. The things he's done is more than a lifetime's worth of work. And so I think it's, we should celebrate the fact that he lived and celebrate his accomplishments.
Do you think Nelson Mandela had a great impact on everyone in the world, even though he was South African president?
Right. I don't think, I know that he did. I think a civil rights icon. I think sometimes we think civil rights is only being 1960s United States, et cetera, South versus North, and all this other stuff. But the type of atrocities and the type of the environments and the type of human, I think, catastrophe, human rights violations that occurred in South Africa and all over Africa are things that I think are universally wrong. And the fact of the matter that Nelson Mandela gave up his life in so many different ways, from his freedom, going to prison for as long as he did, to risking his life, to all those things in order for human rights all across the globe, to those who were suffering, who were dying, who were being subjugated to racism, to sexism, to all those things. He was a champion for those causes. And for that, I think the world is remiss, and the world is a little bit left with a void, with a huge void. Because I don't know if we have those same type of people, those same type of leaders, those same type of courageous individuals.